life can be wonderful if you're not afraid of it. All it needs is courage, imagination. What is there to fight for? Everything! Life itself isn't that enough? What is there to fight for? Life is a beautiful, magnificent thing.
Hello everybody and welcome to Quandary Quest. Today we are going to talk about old shit. No. We're going to talk about some ancient civilizations and stuff. We'll probably veer off in some other directions, but I was on ChatGPT asking some questions, and it's a really good resource for making lists and all kinds of stuff. I really like it. It's a good tool. So I was asking about Camelot, because I've always been fascinated by Camelot. And I asked if it was actually real. Camelot is one of history's greatest mysteries, a place caught between myth and reality. There is no definitive proof that Camelot ever existed as a real physical place. No ancient maps, no stone foundations carved with its name, and yet its legend has endured for centuries, woven through medieval texts, oral traditions, and historical records that hint at something more than just fantasy. Where did the legend come from? The first real mention of Camelot comes from the 12th century French writer Chrétien de Troyes, who placed it as the court of King Arthur. But the tales of Arthur himself go back even further, to ancient Welsh and British folklore, where a war leader named Arthur was said to have defended Britain from Saxon invaders in the late 5th or early 6th century. Was Camelot based on a real place? Historians and archaeologists have searched for Camelot's real-world counterpart, with several theories emerging. Cadbury Castle, England, an ancient hill fort in Somerset, where excavations reveal a large defensive structure from Arthurian times. Some believe this was the inspiration for Camelot. Tintagel, Cornwall, a coastal fortress linked to King Arthur's birthplace. Caerleon, Wales, a Roman city with impressive ruins thought to resemble descriptions of Camelot. And Winchester, England. King Henry VIII even claimed that Winchester Castle was the site of Camelot, displaying a famous round table that dates back to the 13th century. But, let's be real. The dude also invented a whole separate sect of religion. I think it was Catholicism. So he could divorce his wives and marry his mistresses or whatever. Marry whoever the flavor of the week was. And then he'd behead him when he was done with them. Do we really want to, listen to him? He probably just said that because he thought it made him look good. So the truth, Camelot is likely a symbol rather than a single place. A romanticized vision of a just and noble kingdom, perhaps inspired by multiple real locations, where powerful rulers once held court. Whether it ever truly existed, its legacy remains very real. And I asked, what if it came from a time before? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The time before. Now that's an idea worth unraveling. What if Camelot wasn't born in medieval Britain at all, but was instead a memory of something far older, a remnant of a forgotten time, passed down through whispers, reshaped by each generation until history blurred into legend? A civilization before civilization? We tend to think of history as a straight line, but what if it isn't? What if Camelot wasn't a product of the Middle Ages, but an echo of a far older epoch, one that predates our known history? Consider this: Atlantis, a utopian civilization said to have vanished beneath the waves, much like Camelot faded into myth. Göbekli Tepe, a site in Turkey over 12,000 years old, proving that complex societies existed long before we once believed possible. In ancient global myths, nearly every culture has tales of a golden age, a time when gods or great kings ruled in harmony before a great fall. Was Camelot a forgotten legacy? If Arthur and his knights were real, perhaps they were not the first to hold their sacred ideals. Perhaps their round table, their pursuit of honor were remnants of something even older, a system passed down from an age lost to time, an age before written records, before Rome, before Egypt, a time before. Maybe Camelot didn't fall. Maybe it had already fallen once before and was simply remembered again. The thing is, when they say no written records, they say no written records, but think about it. Anything hidden away that's paper will just disintegrate. It all just falls apart. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Everything changes eventually. So over the eons, tens of thousands of years, we have a hard time keeping maps from the 1500s, from falling apart. People literally handle these maps with gloves, and they put them in like airtight containers where not a speck of dust can touch them. They are so old and fragile, there's no way. Unless they put it on concrete, but that's literally what they did with all of these structures all over the world. They carved it into stone. That's one of the only things that lasts. Unless it, gets swallowed by plate tectonics or something. I always wondered about that. Mountains are made, land is swallowed. Has the land that's been swallowed ever been part of a civilization? Then nothing would be left of it. Interesting thought. So, I also said, what if it was from an alternate timeline? If Camelot was from an alternate timeline. And, it says exactly, what if Camelot wasn't just from the past, but from a past that no longer exists in this timeline? A lost kingdom from another reality? If we consider alternate timelines, then Camelot could have been real somewhere else. But through some shift in reality, a divergence, or even a deliberate erasure, it was lost. Think about how myths persist across cultures, even when there's no clear historical link between them. What if that's because they weren't myths at all? Just like the flood myth. like the flood myth. So many different cultures have that myth. It's not a myth. It's history. Possible explanations: a timeline reset. Something happened that forced reality to restart, erasing Camelot from our history but leaving behind echoes, whispers of a golden kingdom. Or a dimensional shift. Camelot still exists, but in another plane of existence, just beyond reach. Maybe some people even remember it in fragments, as if recalling a dream that wasn't theirs. A quantum collapse. If parallel timelines exist, then perhaps Camelot was real in a branching timeline, but something caused that timeline to collapse into ours, leaving only traces behind. Interesting. Arthur's return. A clue? Legends say that Arthur never truly died, that he waits in Avalon. That's it. That's interesting. That he waits in Avalon, ready to return when the world needs him most. But what if he is waiting? Waiting for the timeline to realign. Waiting for the moment when Camelot, not just the idea, but the real place, can return to the world again. What if we're just living in the wrong version of history? So, I asked, how did the Dogon tribes of Africa know the existence of Sirius B before modern science even knew? They were doing a dance, and it was very specific. It had to be done a very particular way, and the dance correlated with the rotation of Sirius B around its other star, because it's a binary star system, which most star systems are binary. People speculate that our system could be binary, but it's just so far away, we don't see that second sun hardly ever. But I think there might be some legends about that. I don't know, I could be wrong, but our history and us, we haven't been around long enough to see something like that happen, because it takes so long for it to come back around. So, our lives are limited. We see just a tiny little fraction of existence. So, who knows what the hell is going on. Anywho, it says, the Dogon people's knowledge of Sirius B is one of the greatest anomalies in history, one that mainstream science struggles to explain. The Dogon, an ancient people of Mali, have astronomical knowledge that seems far too advanced for their time. Their oral traditions, passed down for centuries, describe a companion star to Sirius B, a white dwarf that is completely invisible to the naked eye. But here's the kicker. Sirius B wasn't officially discovered by modern astronomers until 1862. And even then, it was confirmed only through telescopic observations. The Dogon, however, had detailed descriptions of its orbit, density, and even the idea that it was extremely heavy, long before science caught up. Where did they get this knowledge? This is where it gets weird. The Dogon themselves claim they received this knowledge from beings known as the Nomo, fish-like entities that came from the sky, specifically from the Sirius star system. How crazy is that? Some possibilities. Ancient advanced civilization. Did the Dogon inherit this knowledge from an older, forgotten civilization? One that had advanced astronomical insights? Or a lost scientific understanding. Could ancient astronomers have had ways of detecting unseen celestial bodies that were lost over time? Or extraterrestrial contact? If the Dogon stories are taken literally, could they have encountered actual visitors from the Sirius system? Or, what we keep coming back to, an alternate time leap. What if this knowledge bled through another version of history, one where humanity had already mapped the stars long before modern science? This case defies explanation under conventional history, just like Camelot, Atlantis, and so many other lost histories. It feels like a remnant of a different reality, one where the story went another way. So the real question is, how many other things have we forgotten or had erased from our history? How many? I mean, with the Rockefeller education system, I'm sure that they've taken plenty out of our learning. Or just not putting anything into it, really. Making us dumb. So, I said they dance the same way Sirius B orbits, or something like that. And it said, yes, the Dogon's traditional dances are said to mirror the elliptical orbit of Sirius B around Sirius A, something they shouldn't have known about. How could they know this? Sirius B orbits Sirius A in a 50-year cycle in an elliptical path. The Dogon have had ceremonial tradition that repeats every 50 years, celebrating this exact movement. Wow! Their symbolic drawings depict two stars with an elliptical orbit, something that took modern science, powerful telescopes, and mathematical calculations to confirm. How did a pre-modern civilization with no telescopes or access to written astronomical records know the precise movement of this invisible star? It's as if they remember something that we don't. Or they were just told some stuff. Theories, oral knowledge from a lost civilization. If an ancient civilization once had advanced astronomy, they totally did. Could the Dogon have inherited this knowledge before it was lost? Even the people of Egypt say that they learned things from visitors from other lands. Extraterrestrial influence. The Nomo. The Dogon's own mythology claims beings from Sirius taught them these things. Could they have had real contact with something beyond Earth? Anomaly in time, or a time merge. If knowledge from another timeline or forgotten history bled into our own, it would explain why certain cultures have had advanced knowledge out of place and time. Encoded instinctual knowledge. Could there be some kind of genetic memory at play where knowledge survives in ways we don't yet understand? I mean, they do say that there is such a thing as genetic memory, that we somehow do have memory, like our DNA, something within us we have, that the memories stored within us of our previous ancestors. They say this isn't the only case of ancient star knowledge appearing before modern discovery, like the aboriginal stories of the Pleiades or the Mayans' advanced astronomical calendars. So either ancient humans were way more advanced than we thought, or something not of this earth shared knowledge with them. Either way, it suggests history isn't just missing pages. We might be looking at an entirely different book altogether. All of these ancient cultures were most definitely visited or in direct communication with beings from off-planet. It's becoming harder and harder to dismiss the idea. Too many cultures, separated by time, geography, and language, share eerily similar stories about beings from the sky, advanced knowledge, and star maps that shouldn't exist. Think about it. The Dogon knew about Sirius B before modern science. The Sumerians wrote about the Anunnaki, beings who came from the heavens to teach them civilization. The Nazca, massive geoglyphs in Peru, can only be fully seen from the air. Why would an ancient people create something so massive if not for an aerial observer? The Mayan long count calendar tracks planetary cycles with incredible precision, cycles that would take advanced telescopes and math to map today. The Egyptians aligned the Great Pyramid with Orion's belt and encoded math into its design that reflects the speed of light, the Earth's circumference, and more. Circumference. Yeah, it's exactly, I don't know, 1/1000th the size of the Earth or something. It's directly proportional, mass-wise, to the Earth. Very weird. And, so what's the connection? These civilizations all independently developed knowledge that we, with all our tech, only figured out recently. They were in direct communication with something or someone beyond Earth. They had access to knowledge from a lost advanced civilization that predates known history, like Atlantis, Lemuria, or something even older. Or our timeline or reality has shifted and these cultures retained information from a different version of history. Every ancient culture has stories of sky beings, gods, teachers, or travelers who came down and gave them wisdom, technology, and knowledge about the stars. But what if they weren't gods at all? The Dogons Nomo, the Sumerians Anunnaki, the Hopis Star People, the Egyptians Neteru, the Mayans Feathered Serpent, Kukulkan or Quetzalcoatl, or the Hindu Vimanas and Sky Chariots. Different names, different times, different places, but the same core story. At one point, does coincidence stop being coincidence? And I agree. How many times does it have to be said in order for people to actually believe it? Alright, I think it's crazy how some people, it doesn't matter if it's staring them in the face, they still don't want to acknowledge the truth. I don't know how people can be so blind. I am a knowledge sponge. I just want to soak it all up. Every last bit of it. I want to know it all. That's impossible. Impossible. But, I will die trying. That's for sure. We're gonna get some answers. Not all of them. Not even close to all of them. But we're gonna get some of them. And, yeah. This is the part where I remind everybody to spread the word. I want everybody to hopefully one day end up on the Discord server so we can all chit chat and actually get a community going. I don't know what it is with the interference. Something keeps causing some type of interference. But yeah, I one day hope to get our Discord server poppin'. Get a bunch of people over there, get some conversations going. and hopefully pull some people in and get them on the podcast and have discussions with people. That's what I really want to do. I want to talk with people. I want to talk with the people that want to talk about this stuff. I want to talk with them. Dang it. Because it's really, really, really difficult to find the people in everyday life that actually are interested in this kind of thing. Or don't look at you like you're insane if you start talking about this kind of thing. Or, on the other end, it just freaks them out thinking about everything. It just freaks them out. And I don't want to freak anybody out. Or be a bummer. Or whatever, so. Let's get this community going. I want to get everybody over there. Get everybody talking. Conversing. And create a little community. Yeah, I think that'd be great. A little space for everybody to share their ideas and stuff. Why not? Why not? I was thinking about changing up how I record this, but I didn't want it to sound weird in two different parts. But there's been interference for some reason with this particular setting. So, but for now I'm going to change it. So, I'm going to keep it, and then I'm going to change it, and the next one's probably. So, sorry for that. Anyways, I just wanted to also throw it out that I get to some learning seems pointless. Learning ancient history or speculating on the happenings and talking about ghosts, Bigfoot, and the unknown is all pointless. What does it do for me in everyday life? I still have to put my big girl pants on and go to work in the morning to make money doing something I'm not too fond of, to pay bills I never asked for in the first place. Well, for a start, it's the magic. The magic of the mystery and the unlearned, unexplored, undiscovered, unknown. Rather than look at it as a scary thing, look at it as a puzzle or a riddle. A riddle to solve, Fear is just false evidence appearing real. That's it. That's all it is. Another quote, and the biggest reason I'd advocate for the need to have a thirst for knowledge, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. And that's about as real as it gets. If your mother told you when you were little not to put your hand on the hot stove, which you may do anyway, and then you proceeded to get burned while thinking, that's why she said not to put my hand there. Then you immediately push the entire ordeal from your mind like it never happened. And so you have another go at the stove, getting burned again. And then you just proceed to keep on doing that. Well then, that wouldn't be very smart, would it? So we must learn from previous experience. The history we are taught in school is hogwash, as is everything else in those Rockefeller zombie sheep worker bee factories. Teaching these kids nothing of importance, nothing that will actually prepare them for the real world, nothing they are even interested in most of the time, only cramming how to pass a test into their heads, how to think like everyone else. That's important. Can't have free thinkers. Those people cause disruption. The one can be plucked up or snuffed out. The many, not so easy. They say knowledge is power, and I believe that wholeheartedly. The more we learn, the more powerful we become. And the removing stuff left and right from the internet, censoring things more and more, it's insane. I support free speech. And if you don't, because you want to be able to shut anyone down who has opposing viewpoints by reporting them, just know whatever you think Big Daddy Government is doing for you, to the people that you disagree with, know that the same shit can be turned right back on you too. You open Pandora's box and you can't put the lid back on. It's the give them an inch, they take a mile. And with this, there's no takebacks. Looking at history and seeing they were people just like you and I, we can look at the legacy that they left behind and what we have in turn built upon. So the question here is, what are we going to leave behind? For our kids, for our kids' kids? And our history has been so tainted that finding any semblance of truth is like panning for gold. It requires a lot of time, effort, patience, and a little faith. Not as simple as a TikTok scroll, or is it? The reason they're going after platforms such as TikTok, is because, sure, it may contain a lot of bullshit and way too many cringe dance challenges to count, but under all that, there is quite a bit of truth being shared, and that is what they are most afraid of. Nancy Pelosi and her husband are like the fortune tellers of the stock trading world? You don't say. Insider trading. Anywho, we've got a way to immediately share information with the world, and they don't like that, of course. So they want to make sure we're all locked in our little cages of our own making, cages of identify as black, white, Hispanic, gay, straight, Christian, Muslim, Jew, boxes of division, by manipulating everyone in such a way to hate everyone else, and therefore silencing all forms of communication, constructive or otherwise. We may not like what everyone says, and they in turn may not like or agree with everything we say. It's all subjective anyway. No one should interfere with the human right to speak your mind, which we are fortunate to live where we do, because in many other places, wagging your tongue about particular subjects, it's a big no-no. And it can result in some dire consequences, which is an absolute atrocity. It's the fact that it still goes on today is crazy. Of course, there are unspoken societal rules about things to say and not to say in public, but those things are just thought to be considered the respectful thing to do. To be mindful of others, sure. You can speak the truth without purposely going out of your way to be an asshole when making your statements, and I say purposely because no matter what you say or do, someone can find a fault in it. They can find a way to spin it and make it seem way worse than it really is. So you can't please everyone. That's impossible. But just be the best person you can be. Let others just say what they will, and that's all you can do. The way someone else reacts to something you said speaks way more to their character, especially if it's made into some over-the-top dramatic ordeal. Those are always fun times. Though depending on your personality type, it may actually be a fun time. So all this to say, be careful what rights you willingly give up, because once that happens, you can't turn back. There's no putting the spilled milk back in the container. It's done, it's out. Whatever you want to inflict on other people can be used against you as well. The government is not your friend. Remember that. We've got to wake up and get our heads out of our asses and our phones and take a look around at the world and what is going on in it. Life is just passing by while we're staring down. Wasted potential, wasted time, wasted life. Work, phone, sleep, repeat. Oh, how far we've fallen. You know? Just sitting on our phones. It's incredibly sad, and it's all been done on purpose. Make the people docile and complacent. They know everything we like because we click on it, we heart it, we share it, and that data is sold to the highest bidder. They know everything. Especially if you're one of those people constantly updating where you are, who you're with, what you're doing. Who needs a PI when you have social media? I mean, it's a wonder more murders don't happen by an unhinged person finding someone by geolocating them, stalking them, and nabbing them. It's way too easy these days. I mean, with some people, they overshare. We all know the dinner they prepared.
By hand with veggies from their own garden that they planted and with the milk they just got from the cow this morning, they can make the homemade butter to go with the chicken that we raised last year, but we still had stored in the freezer, which really needed to be used since it was looking a bit on the freezer burnt side. But I would never tell that to people on social media.
Or every time they pop their tit out to breastfeed and make sure to take a photo of it, or maybe even bonus updates about the last time their baby took a healthy shit. I mean, enough is enough, people. There is a line, and you crossed it many times over. Some things are meant to be private. Also, remember that whatever you put on the internet, even if you delete it, will remain there forever. Just like when you reset your PC, it still has memory from before. The Internet Archive and the Wayback Machine are two of my favorite things. And I think everybody should use them, if they don't already. Great tools. The internet? The internet is just like a fork, a pencil, a knife, a gun. It can be dangerous depending on what kind of person is wielding it. A responsible, respectful, loving, sane member of society, or something other. A car can be dangerous depending on who is sitting behind the wheel. So, ask yourself, who is behind the wheel? You? Your parents? Your friends? Your coworkers? Your online persona? Who is the real one making decisions in your life? Are the decisions you make a result of the influence of others, such as family, government figures, actors, or pop icons? Or do you stick true to yourself and just do you? Do you know whether the words that are coming out of your mouth are yours? Or are they instead the words and opinions of a friend, or your family, or maybe someone you habitually follow on social media, which you have heard things repeated over and over and over on the daily by the people around you? If you're around the same people every day, the more you will start to blend their sayings and their mannerisms with yours. Unconsciously, of course. They say we are like the 5 people that we hang around the most. And I think they're onto something. My mother can be pretty repetitive, and living with her again years ago, I noticed after a while I started saying the same phrases she was saying. It's crazy how that works, but it's all about repetition, repetition, repetition. You say something enough times, it in turn becomes your reality. Think about, if anybody knows about Marvel, think about the Winter Soldier. They would whisper some secret words in his ear, and he would just turn into a murder machine and just obliterate anything in his path. So, MK Ultra back in the day, the CIA, who knows if they still do that kind of thing? I'm sure they do. It's all about repetition. It just gets stuck in your mind. Like song lyrics. How do we know lyrics to songs we don't even like? Because it plays everywhere on the radio, over and over and over and over again. Can't get away from it. We still end up knowing it. It's the repetition. So, some of those songs I wish I could forget. It's all so fascinating. In the ways of the world, the universe, and especially the human mind. They're such intriguing topics to dive into. So complex and multifaceted. It's a never-ending exploration. There aren't enough hours in the day to discuss everything. We must dive deeper. Look into the works of Dr. Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden. And there's a really good video on YouTube with them three, and it's called The Three Amigos. Make sure, not the movie, The Three Amigos. The one with these guys. Three Amigos. They have some crazy stories. So crazy. About, like a transplant patient. She had her heart transplanted from a girl who was murdered, and they never knew who murdered the girl. The girl who received the heart started having nightmares. And eventually, she told somebody about them, and they took her to the police. And she told the police what she saw in her nightmares. And using that, they were able to track down the killer to the previous girl. What? That just goes to show you that, your body has memory. Even if your heart would be outside of you, that was your heart. Specifically yours, it was no one else's, it was yours. So, it contained memories, and dying in such a traumatic way, she was murdered. That imprints on things, I'm sure. There's that whole stone tape theory, where, things imprint into the walls and into the objects and things around you. Especially big, highly charged events that, create a lot of energy. Big fights or just big events. They definitely leave their mark. Maybe that's where that saying came from. But, yes. Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks about, healing yourself with the mind and heart coherence and all this amazing stuff. And he's a legit doctor who was hurt and was able to heal himself. It's amazing. You have to check him out. Bruce Lipton, who is also, got a PhD, and he's very smart, very, hippie kind of dude. And Greg Braden. They're all three really cool dudes, very smart, and they talk about some crazy stuff, mind-bending stuff about your brain and your body and the mind. And Greg Braden touches on ancient stuff and the connections with plants and a little bit of everything. Greg Braden is a little bit broader about ancient history and the connections that plants have to each other and with us, all kinds of stuff. So, anyway, this is now the end. I thank you for joining us, and I want you to remember, it's the journey in between the beginning and the end that make life worth it, and make it a story to be worthy of telling. So no matter where life may take you, embrace the quest and question everything. Bye, guys.